Hello everyone. In this lecture video, I will demonstrate how to solve a simple X bar chart and R chart. As you know, X bar chart and R chart, they are the quality control tools and they are mainly used to improve processes. So, so basically, X bar chart and R chart, they are the time ordered plot of sample statistics such as sample mean and sample range. Okay, so for any process to be under control, we want to make sure that the variations in the mean of samples as well as the range of the samples are within limits. Okay, if they are out of limits, then process becomes unstable and out of control, and that's where you have to stop the process and take the corrective action. So the purpose of this problem here is to make sure that we draw the chart and just conclude whether the process is under control or not. So this is the sort problem from the book. Okay, so the data pertains to a teller at a type of window at a bank, and we have been given the service times. This is the table that's given. Service times are in minutes for 20 randomly selected customers. So we have taken 4 samples at different point of times. Okay, so we have 4 samples, and each sample has 5 observations. So it's like, you're making a person stand uh, at the teller window, type of window, and ask him to or ask her to measure the service time. And the first employee does it for the 5 customer, and then you wait another hour and ask a second employee to do it, or maybe the same employee can do it, but you are doing it at different point of times, and each time you're collecting 5 observations. So you need to understand that there are 4 samples and there are 5 observations. So sample size is 5. Okay, sample size is 5, so we're gonna write here sample size n equals 5, and number of samples, which is k, is 4. Okay, now to solve the problem, this particular problem, we will need some parameters, and these parameters will be given to you in exam. So we need A2, D3, and D4, and I will explain how to use them while plotting the XBAR chart. But as I said, this data you can easily get it from the book. There is a table given in the book. Um, so that using that table, you have to just look up the sample size, and for that particular sample size, you can get all the values of A2, D3, and D4. So let me see where this table is. Hold on. This table is 10.3 on page number 433. Okay, so if you see the sample size 5 and go across, you will see the value of A2, D3, and D4. Okay, that's one thing. Now this table is given. So if you see every column we have observations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transpose this so that the column becomes a row, and I'm going to copy that and paste it here. So I will copy this here, and let me copy the entire thing, and I'm going to paste it here. Paste spatial. I'm using Mac, so process should be very similar in Windows as well. So here, we just did a transpose of this data here, so that row becomes column and column becomes rows. Why did I do that? Because this will help me solve the problem easier way. Okay, that's the only objective. Otherwise, it doesn't make any difference. So once you have data here, the first thing we have to do is, again, we have 4 samples, and this time we have observations in the row format, not the column format. So we will first calculate the X bar chart, X bar, which is the mean or the average. So we will use average formula, and we're gonna select all the observations. Okay, all the 5 observations. So I have extra parenthesis there, so it will correct it for me. Now I can go here. You see this thin plus solid sign? I will drag it down to fill up the space for rest of the samples. So it will do it for me. So the range, how you calculate the range is the difference between the maximum value and the minimum value in a sample. So what is the maximum value here? So we'll say max formula here, and we'll select this 5 observations. So this will simply select the max, okay, of the 5 observation. Then I'll go outside and say minus, give me the mean of the all the same sample observations. Okay, and you can see the formula here, you can see the formula here as well, and you hit enter, so that will give you the range. So this is the range for sample 1, but we can just drag it down to get the range for all samples. So we have x bar, which is the average of every sample and the range of every sample. So here we will calculate x double bar, which is the average of all the averages. So this is the average of all averages. Okay, hit enter. So that's the average, and then here we will calculate r bar, which is the average range. So I can just simply drag it to the right, so it will calculate the r bar, or you can see the formula here. So if you control function F2, okay, I'm using Mac here, should be similar in Windows. If function F2 doesn't work, just try pressing F2 directly and it will work. So this is the formula we're using here. So far we have calculated the x double bar, which is the average of all the averages, and r bar, which is the average of all range that you have in the data. Okay, so now we have to calculate the limits, the upper control limit and the lower control limit, and this is how we're going to do that. So we have to plot two charts, x bar chart, which is going to track the variability in the mean, and we have to plot the R chart as well, which is going to track the variability in the range. So as I said in the beginning, for a process to be under control, we need to make sure both the variability in the average sample averages or sample means, as well as variability in the sample range, they must be in control within limits. Okay, otherwise process is not in control. So we are going to use this formula here. Upper control limit is x double bar plus a2 times r bar. So x double bar is 4.5. So I'm going to press function F4 on Mac to fix it. You see that dollar symbol, we are fixing it, okay? Or you can press F4 directly on Windows. Try both, okay? So plus a2 here. Again, I'm going to press function F2 F4 to fix it times my R bar, which and function F4 to fix it. Okay, why am I fixing it? You'll come to know. The only difference between each upper control limit and lower control limit is the minus sign here. So plus becomes minus. So what I can do is I can simply drag this one down and convert that plus into minus. Okay, that gives me lower control limit. Okay, so likewise we can calculate the limits for R chart as well. So it's d4, so d4 is here, function f4 times R bar, function f4, right? And then I can drag this one down here again. Okay, and so d4 is 2.11, d3 is 0, so d3 is going to be c10. Okay, so I can just make a change here, or you can, if that is a hassle, you can just type it in here as well directly. Let's I can just going to do that. So c10 function f4 times r bar, function f4, fix it. So we have calculated the limits, and we want to make sure that the sample means and the sample range, they fall within those limits, otherwise process will be out of control. So to plot the graph in Excel, this we going to need this table here. So let's go ahead and fill this table up. So x bar we already calculated it, so I will simply pass on the reference, and I will not fix it because I want to drag it down and get all the values. Okay, So we're just copying what we have here. Upper control limit is going to be this value, and this we want to fix it so that I can copy the same values. So this upper control limit is same for all the samples. Likewise, x double bar is going to be the same function f4, and upper control limit is going to be the same for all samples. So lower control limit is going to be 4.3 function f4, and we can just select this two and drag it down, or double click is going to fill it up for you. That's another nice way to quickly fill up all the values. So once we have this table, we are ready to plot the chart, and you will see how simple is it to plot the chart. And I have given you a little hint here how to plot it, but let's go ahead and do it. So we are going to select this table here. I will go to insert, and we have to select the scatter plot. Okay, so scatter plot, and let's do this one, scatter plot with straight lines and markers, and that's pretty much it. Okay, now what it did is, what it did was, it took this row as series, while we want column as series. So it's very simple. So while you're here, you'll see, if you go to the chart design, you'll see switch rows and columns. So just click on this one, and that's your chart right there. And you can add a lot of bells and whistles here. For example, I want markers only for the plotting line, not for my reference lines. So I can simply click this one and right click here and format data series, right? I'll go here and marker options and say none. So likewise, I'm going to do it here, none, and I will select this one and I'll say none here as well. Okay, so this gives you a clean chart as such. Okay, now so you see that first observation and the last observation, they are outside control limits. Okay, so that tells me that the process is obviously not under control, because mean are means are not under control. Okay, let's give a title here. This is X bar chart. Okay, X bar chart here. Okay, and these are the samples you have. So I guess this, again, we can fix this one as well. Okay, okay, we don't need to worry about it, let it be like that, but that should be fixed as well. Okay, say format axis. Okay, so we can go maximum 5. So major we want 1. Okay, now you see that so sample cannot be in fraction, and that's the reason I wanted to fix this one. Okay, so again, what would you do? Just select this one, make sure you select this one and right click on here and go to the format axis. It should be pretty similar in Windows as well. So obviously we are going to write a small conclusion here. We are going to say here that from X bar chart, it can be seen that the mean of sample 1 is below the lower control limit. Okay, and the mean for sample 4 is above the upper control limit. Okay, that's our conclusion from this one. But irrespective of that, now we know that process is not under control, but still we have to plot the bar chart. That's a process you have to follow even for solving exams problems and homework assignment problems as well. So let's go ahead and fix this one. Let's go ahead and complete this one as well. So here range equals, we'll simply pass on the reference. We are not fixing it because I want to copy as is for all the samples. Upper control limit will be fixed here. So function f4, r bar is going to be fixed as well. So we have 0.325, function f4 again, enter, and lower control limit is going to be this one here, function f4, enter. And now we have to just copy this one down here, and likewise, we have to simply plot the chart, which is very simple now. So select this one, insert, say give me control chart here again. We have to switch the series, so chart design, switch rows and columns, and there you go. Okay, so I'll bring it down here. Okay, and this is going to be our chart. Okay. And let's fix this line as well. So we don't want any markers for reference lines, so I will go to the marker, say none here, say none here, and say none here. Okay, so that gives me a nice option here. Now you see that the ranges are within limits, so they are not out of control. So let's write a little conclusion here as well. From the R chart, it can be, or it is clear that there are no R values outside the control limits. Okay, so final conclusion, let's say my final conclusion is going to be here. Final conclusion, since xbar chart is out of control, we conclude that the process is not in control. Okay, so that what does that means? Well, that means our process is not working properly. We have to stop the process and find the root cause of these two data points here, why they were outside the limits and why the mean is shifting. At times looks like you're taking too less time to serve the customer, or at the other times looks like you're taking too much time beyond permissible time to serve the customer, and that's not acceptable either. Okay, less time is favorable, but you need to still stop the process and find out the reason why this is happening. Is this just happened in one case, or you find something better way to serve the customer? So this is how you would solve X bar chart. I hope this would be helpful to you to solve your other homework problems and exam problems. With this, I will stop my lecture video here. Thank you very much for watching.